Oh dear. Good day to the YouTube world. And today we're talking again about the Salonpreneur Spring Edition. And today I have joining me the lovely Carl Hinder. And we are going to be talking about his article, as you can see behind him actually, Side Hustles and Why Salon Owners Should Think Twice. And I love this. I've got a really weird glare going on me today. I'll take my glasses off. Yeah, this is a great article because I think at the moment I've just seen even this morning someone talking about their part-time job, and I think it's something that whilst we're going through times of change, adversity, global, monstrosities and things that are going on that are affecting people were going to go for side hustles probably a lot more than they normally would, and so yeah, today's conversation is going to be an interesting one. So welcome, Carl.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Shall I dive into this hustle thing?
Do it.
So,
let's do that.
look, Sue, thanks for the invite again, and listen to you guys. Make sure you get involved with this magazine and make sure that you absorb everything that's going on because all of the contributors have this kind of angle on life. We're trying to provide you with something that is a little bit different, and that's why this hustle thing is so important. So, first of all, I think what's got lost here is two things. One is the word hustle. Now, it's not really in the article itself, the discussion on hustle, but I think, it used to be a thing, work hard, graft was the word we used to use,
Yeah.
hustle through your day and work on. And then I think you're going to devalue this hustle thing. Hustle was a bit like grifting, it was a little bit naughty. It was a little bit like a scam or something like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? This little side hustle, the thing you did on the side, you
Yeah.
got paid cash, you didn't pay a tax, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, indeed.
So I think, first of all, we have this thing of a hustle as a little thing that you could do to supplement your life or finances in some kind of way, right?
Yeah.
So I think we have this kind of misconception where I'm coming from, though, because I work with, salon spas and clinics all over the world. And if I hear any words similar to this, my heart absolutely sinks. Because if you think about all of us in your business life and your personal life, we're all pretty much the same. We are all time poor. And it
Very much
doesn't
so.
matter how good we are at time management, how organized we are, how many procedures we have, how many systems we have. Of course, that means we are, I don't know, our time gets better and better and better.
Yeah.
But nobody is time rich. Very
No,
few people are time
definitely
rich.
not nowadays.
Okay, right? Yeah. So what we do is we are time poor, guaranteed. And then for various reasons, including quite macro reasons, we're also, many businesses are cash poor as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We know what the economy's like, but I want to kind of drill this down. And this is why I wrote the article. If you're running a salon, spa, or clinic, you have every single opportunity in the world to make more money. I don't
Yeah.
care how difficult you're finding it. I don't care what you think your problems are. You could make more money this afternoon. Every one of you can make more money this afternoon. And you, for some reason, you don't do that. You don't want to do it. Now, sometimes side hustles are really exciting. That's why. They're new, they're
Yeah.
shiny, right?
And we know about the shiny.
Yeah, the shiny bit, right? We're gonna do the shiny bit after, right? They're new and they're shiny. They're interesting. Bit like when you started your business. Your
Yeah.
energy goes up. You're probably good at it. You get a bit of recognition, and it feels like the old days, perhaps, right? So you kind of get this hustle. We'll call it that if you want, because everyone
Yeah.
is connected with that. However, for most people, it's nothing but a distraction because that money that you could be that you are creating in your hustle, if you are creating anything, and we are going to mention MLMs after,
That was
all
so
right?
it was very much just going through my mind.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know. We've got to mention it, but we won't mention
Yeah.
any brands,
No,
right?
we won't
We won't,
talk about brands.
we won't talk about brands, but we will have talk about them in general terms. Um, we get sidetracked by these hustles. Now, your business could make more money this afternoon. You could go and retail this afternoon. You
Yeah.
could trade up on a haircut. You could trade up on a beauty treatment. You could trade up on a skin service, skin treatment. You could look at your pricing structure. You could look at your timing structures. You could look at the efficiency of your staff. You could look at opening more hours or different hours or less hours. You could do a million and one things. But what you're doing is you're saying my business is struggling. I need to supplement my income because I'm cash poor. But instead of making your business work, you actually now go and get distracted and your core business gets worse.
Yeah.
That is what the frustration is. And
And I think it's a really difficult thing, isn't it? Because I think, and there's many different ways that you can be distracted from your business with a side hustle. And I know in the article you write about whether it's a part-time job working in a bar, or whether it is something like MLM,
yeah,
or I think there was quite a few different alternatives that you gave.
yeah, yeah.
And it's basically anything that is a revenue source outside of your core business. Would you say that's a fair analogy?
Well, I would say as well that it's important not to get confused between income streams
Mm-hmm.
and hassles. And I think
Yeah,
it's the worst part is that hassle. Now, we all have different capacity as well for dealing with more than one thing. All right. But if you have a core business which is failing, it's probably failing because you're not investing enough time in it.
yeah,
Because there's only two things you need when you grow in a business. You either need money to invest or time to invest.
yeah.
If you've got no money and you've got time, you can still invest that and you can grow that business. From my experience, from people that phone me, call me, email me every week, they are not focused on their business. They haven't got all the fundamentals in place. Some people don't have staff because they don't know how to recruit. Okay.
Yeah.
So, first of all, think of it like this. We've all got a different capacity for our workload. This isn't like, one article fits all kind of things. Some people are really entrepreneurial out there. Now, those people that have got multiple income streams, I've got multiple income streams. All right, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not distracted. So I got
Me too.
my pricing app, I've got my books, I've got my online courses, my one-to-one coaching, my membership groups. Okay, just off the top of my head. So there's like five
Yeah.
income streams in 5 seconds.
Would you say though, Carl, and from what I know is in the article, what you're just describing as income streams, to me, the key to it is that an income stream is something that you are in charge of, and it is something that's under you're in charge of your own destiny with them to a degree. And a hustle is something that you do outside of that realm, and it's something that, if you like, say for example, you work in a bar, the bar manager is going to be able to control your time, control how much money you earn.
Yeah.
If you're an MLM, you've then got to go, that is a separate thing, and your area manager or whoever's further up the triangle, the pyramid than you, is going to be in charge of what you do and have expectations on you.
Yeah.
And an income stream is your own expectation, your own pot of money, and it doesn't serve anybody other than you.
Yeah, I think that's really accurate. When you go to work in a bar, that's not an income stream for you and your business because once you stop working there, the income stops.
Yeah.
And that extra 2 or 3 evenings a week that you're picking up the cash. Now, I don't want to criticize anyone in the sense of, we all have financial responsibilities, car payments, mortgages, kids at university, whatever, right? Now, if you're, I don't know, a partner or a parent in that situation, I'm not criticizing you for working even more hours and harder. Good on you. You're a responsible person and kind of well done. I didn't say that in the article, but I think it's a misgiving.
Mm.
I think if you had rediverted that extra 10 hours into something like I said, retail or retraining your staff or marketing, learning
Yeah.
how to market. How many people actually even know how to use social media? It's been with
Yeah.
us now, I don't know what, about 25 years, right?
God knows. It feels like a lifetime.
Yeah. But I only know a handful of people who know how to do it.
Yeah.
How can that be? All
Yeah.
right. How can people not know how to write a Facebook ad or an
Yeah.
Instagram ad? All right.
Yeah.
After all
Because
this.
I think, but actually, I do think that's a really key thing, and it's an area that I've dabbled in, and I've sort of like I've gone and done I've done a course on it, and I've tried to get my head around it. And the thing, but we know, we were saying just before we started recording about how everything just changes. Like what's right today in 3 months' time, everything's changed.
Yeah.
And so I think it is difficult, isn't it, to kind of keep on top of it. But then that's part of your responsibility as the business owner, if you believe you want to go down that road, or if your business is of
Okay.
a capacity and a size, because also if you're advertising and you do really well, you can end up being overwhelmed by the success. But it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think when we look at keeping on top of things, that's really important. So this is going to be a different discussion with different businesses. If you're a one-man band, then you've got 100% control, 100% responsibility, and 100% of the workload, right?
yeah,
So I would speak to you differently if we were discussing this one-to-one. Once you start to have a team, so like being on top of social media, it doesn't mean that you have to know everything about social media,
yeah,
right? So, and it could be that it's the same. I know doesn't happen much because we are so focused on treatments, but if you own a beauty salon, you don't have to be the best therapist. You don't have to be the best masseur. You don't have to know everything about that treatment. I know we feel that we have to because we don't want our staff to know more than us, but we don't.
no,
So when it comes to social media, when it comes to retailing, when it comes to any marketing for that matter, when it comes to financial, you don't need to be excellent at it. You got to be excellent at asking the questions. Yeah. And organizing. Right. The front of house, you're going to be responsible for social media. I'm going to put you in for training with Carl or Sue, right? We're gonna get you up to date with everything. And then the owner needs to know how to manage that person. That's a
yeah,
that's how we stay or become time rich
yeah.
is by delegation.
Delegation.
Yeah. And not abdication and the training behind that. So if you are working in a bar, and I've given you the accolades and saying I understand and I appreciate why you might be doing it, or you're working on MLM, but we do need to talk about that a little bit more. There's no immediate criticism apart from you haven't yet realized that that time you were spending in over there, if you put it in over here, you could quickly get that return
Yeah,
quite quickly. Your mind has given up a little bit on the old business. That's the trouble. When you start going over here to hassles. Now, when you start talking about income streams, that's slightly different. And your income stream, because I think you was asking me this question in an indirect way earlier, Sue, does it have to be part of your business?
mm,
Right? I don't think it does. One of the income streams I have, which I haven't mentioned, is property. That's got
yeah,
nothing to do with coaching. However, all of my properties are managed through an agency.
yeah,
All right. What am I good at? Managing agencies.
yeah,
Right. So I do. I phone up the agency. I go like, what's happening over there? And how's that property going? And can you give me an update on that? And when is our next forecast for uh, rent increases? And what's the regime for maintenance?
yeah.
But I don't go in there painting the floors, painting the ceilings and laying carpet
You
on the
might want to paint
floors.
the floors. Who
No,
knows?
we might want to, innit? So I don't. So so I don't think the income stream has to be directly in your business. Now, if you are starting out in business, or maybe you see you want an income stream because your business is doing well. We get a bit negative here, won't
Yeah,
we? Right?
mm,
Maybe they want an income stream because they're doing well and good on you as well. Now, if you go and side hustle and you go and work in a bar or you go and run someone else's company, because that's what M is, you go and run some, your company's going to start to weaken. Whereas when you set up an income stream, you set up a structure so that it operates.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I'm still selling books on Amazon at the rate of about 25, 30 a week. I don't think I've looked at that book in terms of review in 18 months. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So, but I had to invest a lot of time to set it up. But now it goes out on my website. Okay, it goes out on a few sales pages. We spend time and money driving traffic to the website to buy the book and to the Amazon link. But that is set up. So
yeah,
it isn't a distraction for me. That's what I'm getting at.
yeah. It's a passive income. A lot, as passive as it can be.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Because there's, I don't believe there is a truly passive income. If only there was, unless
uh,
you've got a trust fund.
well, I don't think there's anything that's passive, because you all got responsibilities. But if you had a few million quid, of course, you'd have interest as a passive
Yeah,
income. But you still got to manage it. You still have to check it was there. You still have to pay the taxes on it. You still have
yeah,
legal obligations. You're probably still going to be paying a fund manager or someone.
yeah,
So I don't think there's anything that's 100%. But if we go with semi-passive income, um,
yeah,
I think that's fair enough. So it's just important for people to see that, and there's nothing wrong, by the way. It doesn't say this in the article either, that if you need to close your business because it isn't a valid business model anymore, and you are pretty sure that you're not prepared to make the changes, that's okay. And you can go off and create this new hustle that turns into a new business.
yeah.
Nobody's judging you on that either. But if you do love your salon spa or clinic, and let's be fair, most of them do, most of us do, right?
Yeah. They're about
We're
babies.
so passionate, right? Um, just take that time and invest it in that, and don't get distracted. Now, that MLM thing, I've got to say something about it before we forget. And then I'll let you talk, Sue.
That's fine. You just
But
carry on, Carl.
you,
It's nice. This is everything I do. I never really have to prep very much when I'm going to when I have you on, because we'll have just have a conversation,
yeah.
and I know that you'll just say everything you need to say.
Well, you scribble down the notes now that you think I've forgotten. So the MLM thing, guys. I'm totally against it, by the way. And let me give you the little bit of background. Even before MLM was as commercial as it is now, going back 15, 20, 25 years ago, when I was coaching, I used to deal with quite distraught people who had invested lots of money. And I said, I can't talk about the brand, but they are still around, some of them. And people are putting in 5 and 10 and 15 and 20,000 pounds and never ever selling that stock. Now, if that hasn't happened to you, because the lots of MLMs now don't have stock, what realization that these individuals don't have is their time investment is really ever returned genuinely.
Mm.
So if it's something like, I mean, the big thing at the moment, and a friend of mine this week, okay, sent me a message saying, um, myself and my husband have just bought a business out of a box. That was their words to me. And it was a travel business.
Oh, one of those ones.
Yeah. And I went, oh, really? I said, everyone is doing that, and you won't have a market to go to. That's what our MLM works. By the time you've asked all your friends and then you've made them one of your agents, you end
Yeah,
up with no customers.
yeah,
All right. And so first of all, they've invested money. Lots of these you don't have to invest in, well, not anything. You usually have to invest in the training part of it. And then usually there's a monthly fee. All right. So they get you paying a monthly fee. Sometimes there's a training thing. Then you get to go to these events,
yeah,
right? They drag you there. Usually you pay your own travel expenses, your own time out of your own business, away from your own family, right? Maybe your own hotel, all right? And you arrive there and they all G you up and they go, yeah, you're amazing,
yeah,
Carl, well done. And you think, oh, this is amazing. This is the energy I was looking for.
yeah.
Then they give you
I'm
what,
part of a family. That's what I
yeah,
see a lot.
yeah, we are fam.
We're
Yeah,
all together.
okay. Well, yeah. Am I the first one to start singing on one of your
I don't. Yeah,
your
I think you
podcasts?
might be. Yeah.
Right. Well, trust a Welshman, but I haven't
Well,
got a good
indeed.
voice, unfortunately. You might have to edit that bit. Right. So then they get this guidance. They say, this is how you do your social media posts, right? This is the image you must use. These are the things that you must say. So they template you.
Yeah,
Now, I'm not criticizing the MLM companies in a way, because they've done a great job. They've managed to
they've
get,
got a great model.
they've got staff for free,
Yeah,
right? Who give up their own time, invest their
yeah,
own money, and then portray this MLM company in a templated way. And just to digress a little bit, one of the big discussions I always have with people is about not allowing staff to randomly post images of clients' hair, facials, or anything, because they don't control the quality of the image.
Yeah.
Okay, apart from the other legal issues. The MLM companies make you do it, but your own company doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So you're now off with this new little MLM company, right? Yeah, you're in all the energy and you're putting hours and hours and hours and hours and hours in. You're putting posts out. The return for you is almost nothing
Yeah.
when you work out the hour by
Unless
hour.
unless you take the step up. And I actually know a couple of girls in the sector, in our industry, who have done, they got in early on an MLM,
Yeah,
and they have built, one of them's now off and has given up everything. Well, she now doesn't need to work because she's got enough people under her pyramid that they're providing her with a lifestyle that's really amazing.
yeah,
And to a degree, and I sort of look at her and I think there's an element of envy because she's not really having to do very much to have an amazing lifestyle. But I just don't get it, and I don't understand why you would. I don't know, maybe because I've never been in that position that I've earned that much money from not actually doing anything but off other people's success. I don't know, but there's a couple of girls I know, and they're both like top sellers, and they've got top selling teams,
yeah,
and they've got a very, very nice setup.
yeah.
And
But
you
I'm not
see
coming up.
that, and it's like, when people do see that, it
Yes.
makes it really attractive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's what they're fantastic at. Now, this isn't really about MLMs and whether they're positive or not. My experience has been as from a coaching or a consultant's point of view of people coming to me over the years in total tiers. And from a coaching point of view, where I see salon spa and clinic owners go off and do that and absolutely neglect their business.
Mm,
Even they might have a manager in there, but you're neglecting the manager or neglecting the staff.
yeah,
And they're going off and doing this. Are there successful peoples in MLM? Of course they are. They're at the top,
yeah,
right? But not many MLMs are sustainable. Well, they can't be. It's impossible
no,
because when everyone's an agent, who's buying what?
yeah.
You know what I mean? I've actually got friends
Resources
doing
the
this.
market.
Some of them actually join these travel companies in particular, but it's not just the travel companies. They're just the recent ones. They pay their whatever 35 quid and they book their own holidays and they get their discounts. Some people just do it for that. But this article is all about distraction. If you love your salon spa or clinic, focus on it. That's what it's about. And
Yeah,
if you don't want to focus on it, I don't know, sell it or close it and go and focus on something that you do have a passion about. And my word of caution is with MLMs, they're designed not to last.
yeah. I do think they. I mean, I can remember. Oh my goodness, years and years and years ago, and I think I was in my early 20s, and I decided I wanted some extra income. I was working. I thought our mortgage rate had gone up to 15.75%, and
Yeah.
um, and life was difficult. I mean, it's like when you think back, we had I think our main mortgage was about 65 grand, something like that, and our mortgage on that was £1,500 a month.
Wow.
I mean, and that was interest only. I mean,
Yeah.
it was madness. And so we went from being, when we moved in, it was £400.
Mm.
And so we had like a massive deficit we had to find every month. And so I had no choice. I was working full time and I went out and I did, oh my goodness me, I did Studio D. Oh my goodness. And I didn't do Tupperware. I did do another one. I can't remember what I did now. I did Studio D, which was like really bad clothing that everyone used to return because you'd go and do these parties and everybody would buy it all and then return it all. So
Yeah.
you'd think you'd earn like,
Yeah.
£30 or something for like, 4 hours of really hard work.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, they'd return everything. So you'd lose all your commission
Yeah.
because they felt pressurized into purchase. It was terrible. And one of the only things I can remember was I bought some really nice ski pants and they had these pants called Kevin pants. But the only thing I can remember about it now. But it was a lesson in
Yeah.
me doing all the hard work. And
Yeah.
actually, all I was doing was promoting their business. And
Yes.
I didn't really earn anything. I think I did it for about 6 months. And the girl who was my area manager had a very nice house. And I think, I mean, her husband was a very successful banker or something. And she was an at-home mum, and she was like up the rung from me. But she was doing quite well. She had about 8 girls under her. And but it's not a consistent form of income
No.
because if someone cancels, someone returns, all of a sudden all that money you've earned
Well,
gone.
Yeah, but you remember Tupperware, you brought that up, I mean, if you think of just Tupperware, I think my mum did Tupperware when I was a kid in the
Yeah,
70s. Um, but so what these models work on is with, I mean, like just take Tupperware, but any of these is you go to your family and you say, right, buy some Tupperware because I'll get 20% back, and they all
yeah,
buy it and your friends buy it, and then your pool dies, right?
yeah,
So you just made money for the short term. MLM,
yeah,
and but just by the virtue of the structure of MLM, you have to end up that way. But I don't want to focus on MLM because it's just really about the use of your time. That's what I'm really talking
yeah,
about more than anything. I was saying is if you're off and to do a hustle to supplement your income in an emergency situation, I'm not out here to criticize you, and the article is not about that. The article's about if you have a business and you want it to be successful, don't get distracted by doing a bar job or work on the side. Put that time into getting this business correct because you're time poor at the moment. Income streams should be part of your overall business strategy for sure. Semi-passive income as well.
yeah,
But when you start going into the larger things like MLM, you are going to be sucked in. You are going to absorb a lot of time. And whilst there might appear to be some successful people in that, they're going to be in the minority.
yeah,
Whereas the priority is you have that business which safeguards you, safeguards your family because it gives you security, and you're in control of every single thing in that
yeah.
business.
And I think that's the important thing, isn't it? Is that anything where you don't have control
Mhm.
is never going to benefit you entirely. The same as there's a reason why so many of us are self-employed, want to be self-employed.
Mm.
It's because we want to steer our boat in the direction we want to go in,
Yep,
and we don't want other people to divert that. And I mean, I've been subject to diversion many times, and it's hard. It's
yeah,
difficult because
yeah.
you can see an opportunity that you think is gonna be beneficial, but in actual fact, most often the one thing that you need to do is actually just focus on what you were planning on doing yourself.
Yeah, I think if you get to the point in your business where you have genuinely, and there's not many of these people, by the way. Okay, so if you're listening to this now, um, there's not many of you that have actually done all the things you could do to run a successful business. You might feel you've
Absolutely.
worked your socks off, and I would never disagree with that. I think Salon Spa clinic owners are some of the hardest working people out there. But did you do the things that you could have done to run a successful business? And I'm running a course for my group at the moment, and it's called Goal Setting and Accountability.
Mhm.
Almost nobody's setting goals for their team. Almost nobody's holding them accountable for hitting those goals.
No.
Almost nobody is retailing out there. Almost nobody is charging the right prices. Okay.
This is it, isn't it? And I think we've spoken. I mean, I know when you come on my podcast, like Inspiring Sound Professionals years ago, and
Yeah.
we were talking about retailing and stuff. It's got to be probably 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's got
Well,
to be
I know
right.
you've
Yeah.
been you've been banging that drum for a very long time.
Yeah.
But and I know how hard it is. I've been in the salon and owned a salon, and I know, and I'm not a natural sales. Well, actually, no, probably that's a lie. I am more of a natural salesperson than I'm a forced salesperson. Um, and when I've sold naturally, it works. When I feel forced to sell, it makes me very uncomfortable, and I don't like it very much.
Yeah.
But I think that there's ways around that, isn't there? And there's so many different techniques to sales. And I know that you help people massively with stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that whole thing, if you can sell two skincare products a day in your business, or two hair products a day in your
Yeah.
business, it's nearly all profit. There's no
Yeah.
service to that. There's no hourly rate to that.
Yeah.
And we have to get better. And I know it's difficult with everything that's online. You've got so many different websites that people can go and visit, whether it's Amazon or Look Fantastic or whoever. There's so many websites out there competing for the money.
Yeah.
But sometimes having that human touch, I think this is what we need to. We had a big conversation before we started recording, didn't we, Carl, about AI, and how
Yeah.
we need to remember that humanity is going to become more important. And we are one of the few industries where human touch is never going to disappear. And so anything we can do to connect with our clients in a different way to that which they would if they go to Amazon,
Yeah.
people are going to start seeking to have that human touch at some point soon,
Well, I
far
think
more
it's
than they ever have.
I call it the power of the handshake. I used to go
Yeah,
to all the events up until about 2020, 21, every single one in the UK, every single year. And if I wasn't staging, if I wasn't talking or working with a client, I would go around and shake hands because I used to call it the
Yeah.
power of the handshake. Just random people. Hi, how you doing, Carl? And some of them knew me, some of them didn't know me.
Yeah.
You're right. With the onslaught of AI, the power of interaction is more and more going to be more and more common.
Yeah.
And so we will have to recalibrate, that's a word, recalibrate how we do business. And retail is not, it's not the challenge we think it is, but because we think it's a challenge, you know,
Yeah.
it must be every single podcast I've ever done, certainly with you anyway. I always talk about losing weight, right? If you think you can't lose weight, you won't,
Yeah.
right? If you,
Mindset is everything.
yeah, if you think you can't retail, if you think you can't help your client, you
Yeah.
won't.
This is,
It's that
but
simple.
fundamentally, and I've used this phrase a lot over the last few days, is like we are an industry that makes other humans feel more human.
Mm,
That's what we do.
yeah,
And we need to kind of, I think with the way that the industry is going, the way the world's going, we really, really need to focus on the benefits of that humanity that we bring to this. You
yeah,
know, we are, especially in the salon sector, we are a very female dominated industry. So
yeah,
there's always a lot of emotion, always a lot of emotion. You know, huge numbers of our clients are women. And I
yeah,
think, you know, and obviously there's a lot of gentlemen that go to hairdressers and to barbers as well and come and have facials and waxing and all sorts of things done. But historically, it's been very much more female dominated, hasn't it? That whole self-care thing. And I think, you know, we all the time we've got the opportunity to help our clients. We are here to help them. So if you believe you can't help them by selling them a product, why would you believe you can help them by giving them a facial or by giving them a haircut?
yeah.
I mean, it's all it is a different skill. You learn how to do a massage, you learn how to cut hair. So
I
therefore
don't
it
even,
makes
do you
sense
know,
you can learn how to help them via
when I'm in this,
skincare or hair care or whatever.
when I'm in a salon these days, or even if I'm doing it digitally, I really actually talk about selling a product. It's not, if that's the outcome. Yeah, that's kind of what happens. But I try to put people in the position of what I do as a coach, right? And when I'm working with someone, my passion is to make you successful. I want the absolute best for you. If I lose sleep, it'll be over you, right?
Yeah,
Because if you do this and you did that and you did it in this time, geez, it's gonna be so exciting. And I'm excited for you. And I'm looking forward to you smiling and I'm looking forward to you going on the holiday and getting that. I'm bloody, I'm all over it. Sometimes more than the client. And I've been told that that's a
step back. I'll
weakness.
step back.
Yeah. But no, it's not the clients telling me, but I'm sure they must feel it at times. Um, and that's how I feel about product selling. When I'm saying to a stylist or a therapist or a technician, forget about the product. Just think about how can you make this client feel great in 5 days' time.
Yeah,
And if you don't care about that, I'm going to question your professionalism. Yeah.
yeah,
And if you care about it, how will you make sure that in 5 days' time, that cut and color looks and feels brilliant like it does today, that you just bloody charge them 250 quid for, right? Or that facial that you charged them wherever, if you've had a program, £500. How can you, and I don't say this to them in so many words, but how can you psychologically take their money and be happy about it, knowing they'll be rubbish, they'll be awful in 5 days' time? And that's where we have to change.
yeah,
We must look after the client beyond the front door.
yeah,
And then we haven't got to worry about retail will take care of itself then.
yeah. It is because I think it, you know, we have to recognize, don't you, that our client satisfaction goes beyond our boundaries.
Mm,
And that it is, you know, there's a debate in the nail sector about, you know, the Instagram photos that you see.
yeah,
And me and a couple of other people have these conversations an awful lot. There's a whole process that's going on in the nail sector that is not necessarily professional standards, and it creates a very beautiful Instagram image.
yeah,
But probably a week later, their nails and their skin around their nails are probably not going to look that good
no,
because of the process that they've gone through.
yeah,
And if you aren't giving your, well, firstly, you probably want to change your practices, but but there's fundamentally, if you aren't providing that client with oils and balms and all those things to take home with them, you're doing them a disservice, because anything that you've done for them during that time they're with you,
Yeah.
you've got to back that up with what happens when they walk away
Yeah.
before they come back to you. Because if you don't back it up, maybe they won't come back. And I think, there's a whole thing in how we communicate to our clients, in whether or not they choose to return to us, and doing things like retail, doing things like all the aftercare and the home care, and how you can make this last. Like with color, like if you look at someone who's got a red tone on their hair, how you can make that red tone stay there, or how you can make that blonde toner stay there,
Yeah.
is so important. So you've got to supply all
Yeah.
that aftercare and home care.
Well, I've told this story a million times. So, and I'm going to say it because the fact that I've told it a million times demonstrates the power of it. A couple of years ago, my wife went for a massage to the biggest spa in Wales, right? And I sent her and a friend there to go and have a. I was working with this organization at one stage, and so my wife there says it's a lovely place. You should go there, take your friends, go and have a couple of, or not a couple of days, have a couple of hours and have the day there. Anyway, she came home. So she went and had a massage, and they used the sauna and the spa, and they had a chill and all that sort of stuff, right? Lovely, lovely, lovely. And then came home with a shampoo, a conditioner, and a skin toner, I think it was, or a facial treatment. I went like, thought you went to the spa. I
Yeah.
did. She said, because the girl, not the front of house, she said the girl who was doing the massage said to us, so why are you here? And she said, well, we're going on holiday in a few days' time. I hope we chill out. My husband sent me, okay, so where are you going and why are you going? Have you got everything ready for the... My wife's like, oh, I haven't done the shopping yet. Don't worry about it. I'll have it all ready for you when you leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm still telling you that story 3, 4 years later. You know?
Because it's important, isn't it? Is that, yeah, that assume they're going to buy.
Yeah. Well, my wife was really happy. Okay. But mainly she probably had my card, I expect, right? But my
Yeah,
wife
probably.
my wife was really happy because she didn't have to go and get this stuff. And I'm telling you about it now, and I was never unhappy about it. And I think as this industry starts to chop up, it's chopping up all the time, right?
Mhm.
We
Definitely.
will end up with fantastic salons. The salons aren't going to disappear off. We'll call it the high street, but I'm just talking about, you know, they could be in fields, but I'm talking about standalone salons where multiple
Yeah.
people can come to at the same time, right?
Commercial premises.
Commercial premises. I was at there. Well done, thank you. I'm not talking about freelance or rent a chair or anything like that. Those things will exist in smaller numbers and I think of a higher quality. But as we get to that point, those that end up at that finishing line are going to be the ones that do all the things that matter when you're not there.
Yeah.
Because you know I don't know. I know we can get bad facials and good facials and bad massages, but largely speaking, throughout the industry, you know, most haircuts are pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
most facials are pretty good. Yeah, most waxing is pretty good, but most customer service isn't pretty
It's
good.
not. No. It's
So
it's that I mean, to me, I mean, like everything I do and what I'm going to be doing in going forward at the moment is all
mm,
about customer journey and about that whole client experience. And it's
yeah,
stuff I've been talking about for years, stuff I've experienced for years, stuff I've been working, from when I left school, I've been working client facing in some form or another at different points. And I think, we have to bear in mind that, like, we're a service driven industry.
mm,
Our clients come to us to receive a service,
yeah,
and that service includes so many different things. And from the point that they find you to the point that they continue to return and build loyalty and be your clients for the next 10, 20 years. And we know that there's so many businesses out there that have got clients.
yeah,
I mean, someone I saw the other day, and they had a client who'd been with them for like 35 years. And it's like, that's loyalty. And what we need to do as an industry is look at what that person's doing and why that client's returned to them. I mean, even if it's a monthly treatment, that's a lot of times. I
yeah,
can't do the maths quick enough in my head at the moment. That's like say 400 of times that client's come to them.
yeah.
No more than that. Well, no, I can't do the maths, Carl. My brain's died. Don't know.
How,
Too
how
many
many times?
computers.
Well, say
Can't do the
again.
maths anymore. Too many computers. I can't do the maths anymore.
Well, look, if someone comes, once a
Yeah,
month, if
yeah,
you got 12 each, yeah. So
yeah. Yeah, 300, it's about, about right,
10
400
years, you got
visits.
100 you got 120 visits.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I was
W-
right. I was
Yeah,
on the money there.
just one person.
Yeah,
Yeah. 240, 360. Oh my God, right?
yeah,
Now we are scaling. More salons on their database. I've got 500 or 1,000 people quite easily.
yeah.
Okay. Smaller
They
salons.
can come more.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I also talk as well. This is right off the subject, but getting people to come at the right time.
Mm,
Just getting me. Now, we talk about the economy, and I did this in my group last night, actually. Some of my massive, not passive members had said clients are drifting out. They're trying to do their colors, at 6 weeks or 8 weeks, or they're trying
yeah,
to do their facials and that sort of stuff. And I know they do because I won't tell you the story that I told them last night.
yeah.
But we have to take control of that because there's lots of people as well, like myself, who will not be drifting to 7 or 8 weeks for my haircut because at 4 to 5 weeks it's awful.
Snap.
But 4 to 5 weeks is a difference of 25% in business.
Yeah,
So if my barbershop that I go to allows every single client in there to come in 5 weeks instead of 4 weeks, they have got 25% less business.
yeah. And I think that there's a tendency when times are difficult that, and I think we are going really off topic now, but
Yeah.
it's important. And
You're going to have to do a channel to the, yeah,
I know. Inspiring Sound Professionals is about to come back, so we can take these other conversations over there
yeah,
soon. But I do think that there's an element of the fact that we need to not normalize extended appointments. And
mm,
in nails particularly, there's been a trend that's built over the last 4 or 5 years that clients should go 5 to 6 weeks. Like, no, they
yeah,
should. It's not healthy for their nails. It's
no,
not healthy on so many levels. It just is wrong.
yeah,
And I know that it's, people are charging more money. So therefore the clients then, and there's so many nuances to it.
yeah,
But generally, if you've got a nail coating of any kind on your nails, you should not be going more than 3 weeks.
mm,
4 weeks are an absolute push if you've been on holiday or there's an extenuating circumstance. Facials, your skin turns over every 28 days for most people, depending on age, roughly.
yeah,
But so why would you push that to 6 weeks? Because then you're going to be in a different cycle of skin. So and the same with waxing, and the same with hair. There's growth patterns to nearly everything we do, and cell
yeah,
turnover patterns to nearly everything we do. And if we deviate from where we should be, then that isn't client service, and you are not helping those clients. And it drives me insane when I see pictures of nails going, oh look, these nails were amazing on day one, and now look at them on
yeah,
like day 56. It's like,
yeah.
no, you've
Well,
just
that's because of our perspective, and that's because as I'm going to use the word professionals, but none of this is professional behavior. But as
no,
professionals, we are submissive, and we're also submissive by our own standards.
yeah,
So, and the thing is, it is a difficult thing, but we got to look at money different. Okay, I'm not going to do a money mindset thing
no,
here.
let's not. No, we're not.
Uh,
We're not going to go deep on this, Carl.
no, no, we won't go deep on this. But the thing is, this is normal, this is natural, and everyone does it. Okay, all of us do it, by the way. Even millionaires do it. All right, we judge other people's expenditure by our standards.
Absolutely,
All
yeah.
right.
And I was going to say that in what I was saying, and I missed it. But yes, absolutely,
So if we, if you, especially if you're doing a side hustle as well, and you're working
yeah,
in a bar, right, and you're getting like 10, 12 pounds an hour, then you are thinking when you go to sell that product or that treatment, okay, and you know that they need that treatment, but it's 180 pounds. My God, I have to work in the bar for 2 weeks for that, right?
yeah,
You feel bad about you, so you allow this person not to get what
yeah,
they need. Or the
yeah,
client might have said, "Oh, it's been tight in the house," and so we take
yeah.
on that emotion.
And everybody else's version of being a bit skint or being brassic or being a bit tight
Yeah,
for
it's not the
money,
same, is it?
it's never the same.
No.
If you
Well,
ask Richard Branson what it's like when he feels a bit skint, I bet it's nowhere near my
look,
level.
you can cut this bit out if you want because it's not industry specific. So um, this happened yesterday. So I think I told you we moved out and it's a full renovation and we
Yeah,
we have having to build extensions, the whole lot. So we've built a nice workshop on the side for my motorbikes.
yeah,
And then this a friend of mine comes along. We store on his motorbike as well for a while. And he says, my son, this is, he's there, he's just gone 18. So he said, I'm trying to say, not my son's name, this other guy's name. This other guy says, oh, I don't know if I can get, that part that I need and that part that I need. And my son says, well, what do you mean? He said, well, I got to speak to the missus and I'm not sure if we got them. Yeah, Morgan, my boy, I can tell you his name. He says, what do you mean? No, that's not the same, he said. You might not have no money, but there's always bike money, right? And so, so I'm no different to everyone else. I got priorities about what I want to spend money on. I'm renovating a house from top to bottom. We're about to go on a big holiday and, got my daughter in university and stuff. So my money's going out like everyone else's.
Yeah.
And so maybe I do say at times, listen, guys, come on, let's pack this in now, right? And then in the last month, 3 motorbikes have turned up at my premises, right? None of which my wife knew about. Okay. Um, and she has never said a word either. She goes like, "Oh God, there's another van. Must be a motorbike in it."
Yeah.
But my son always goes, "Always got motorbike money, haven't we, Dad?"
Yeah, but absolutely. And I think out of the mouth of babes, I can remember actually, and Joe, we probably should keep this in. But my nephew, oh, when he was I don't know 8 or 9 years old, and my sister at that point, she was on her own, and she was life wasn't easy. Let's just say that, and we were in a slightly better, not massively better, but a slightly better position. And my nephew summed it up to her one day, and he'd come home from my house and he said to my sister, are Auntie Sue and Uncle Trev really rich? She went, no, not really. No, why? Well, they had 4 pints of milk in the fridge. And
Yeah,
they only ever had 1 pint, but that was because there was only two of them living in the house.
yeah,
There was like four of us living in our house.
yeah,
So it was a bit different. But that perception
yeah,
and of because you see something, you assume.
yeah.
And we should never assume.
No.
Some of the wealthiest people dress in rags.
Well, I think it's more professional, personally, to ignore the financial circumstance because it's rude to investigate.
Mm.
Do you know, and something I always think about here, I got friends going back now, 40, 50 years, right? And I know things about them. I might even know things, illnesses that they've had that nobody else knows about. I might know about sexual preferences that nobody else knows about. And I have no idea how much money they're on, right?
Yeah,
Because I would never ask them,
yeah.
right? Right?
It's not something you inquire about, is it?
Right?
It's
You
not
know,
part. It's not
no,
PC to do that.
I kind of just judge them by well, they got a similar lifestyle to me, so maybe they're
Yeah,
doing as well as
yeah.
me. I don't know, but
It
but
could
you
all
would,
be on credit cards.
oh knows, right?
Yeah,
So I know, you can never judge people, and we would never talk about money. So we should never, I don't think, ever talk about money. I think our role as a technician therapist is to actually deliver the service at a level so the client has the option to
yeah,
have everything that they need. And
yeah,
it could be a product, it could be a reduction in time, it could be a different service altogether. Whatever it is,
yeah,
that should be our objective, and the finances should not be something that's left to us to calculate. How can you possibly allow an 18, 19, 20-year-old, and this is with respect, person to have that ability, that education level to be able to investigate and make a decision on someone else's
yeah,
finances of what they should spend in your business?
yeah. Is
Impossible.
and the clients will lead you anyway, won't they? If
Yeah,
they can't afford it, then you'll be able to understand body language, how they verbalize things.
yeah,
They'll just go, no, I can't afford it, or whatever. People will let you know
yeah.
in some way or another. But we probably should leave it there, Carl, because we've run way over what we're supposed to.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think you got part one
Very
and part
short
two.
podcasts.
I think you got part one and part two there.
I know,
Uh,
but but the thing is, I think and this is why I'm quite looking forward to getting back to inspiring salon professionals, because on here I do try and limit these to about half an hour,
yeah,
35 minutes thereabouts, and we've gone way over that today.
yeah,
But I do think is that some of the joy of having these conversations is that there's always a little nugget somewhere. There's always a little bit of information that's going to come that's going to give someone something to take away. And if it means we go over by 15, 20 minutes, does it matter? If
okay.
someone gets some benefit out of it, that's the whole
Yeah.
point of doing these
And,
conversations.
and clearly, all of this in some way is linked. We're
Yeah,
all trying to operate our businesses at the best level that we can.
yeah,
And sometimes it's easier for people like myself, maybe for yourself as well, to identify opportunities for other businesses, which is what the Winning Ways article was all about. Don't get distracted. Focus on
Yeah,
what you're doing, and you're going to get great results.
yeah,
Hassles, put them in perspective. Um, income streams, put them in perspective, and focus on your business, and you'll get the results you want. But
yeah,
quick fixes and quick tips very, very rarely serve you for a long time.
yeah, indeed. And beautifully wrapped up there, Carl.
Thank
True
you.
professional.
Thank you for having me on board
Thank you
again,
so
Sue.
much for coming on.
Really
And
appreciate it.
yeah, and I'm sure we will see each other again
Bye
somewhere
from the two of
online.
us.
Yeah, I know. It's just great. I can't believe I've got so much luck to have two of you, Carl.
Not many people say that, Christ.
No, I know.
Well,
Anyway,
not these
I
days
was,
anyway.
yeah, I'll
Right.
see you online soon.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.